Prime's in dire straits right now. They need 2 wins in a row, and they're up against SKT, so that's a tall, tall order, Moonglade.
It really is, Wolf. Looking at these last remaining matches, I mean, I don't know what hope they have in MyuNgSiK against INnoVation. INnoVation been playing sick. And then we have Creator against Dark, who was also playing sick.
And Creator, on the other hand, has had so much trouble in this matchup.
And MyuNgSiK has not been playing that well. Yeah, we see a couple people going for MyuNgSiK. Wolf.
Yes, myself and Kanata. Now, Kanata, I'm just looking at him on camera here. He's kind of like grabbing his head.
He's like, oh man, I made a mistake. I screwed up.
He's not really explaining himself too much just yet, but I'll go ahead and talk about my reasoning. MyuNgSiK is great at preparing all-ins.
He is very gimmicky.
Tricky builds gimmicks. Now, he beat Sun consistently 3-0 in the SSL. And what he said in the group selection interviews was that right now MyuNgSiK is actually focusing on the future. He's actually focusing on improving. And win or lose, his whole goal for this year is just to improve. And I think this guy is great at preparing builds, preparing gimmicks, weird strats. And like I said before, even in our earlier match, I feel like INnoVation is a program. He is actually a program in this matchup. And if he can find the code, if he can crack the code, if he can mess with INnoVation, INnoVation has to divide by 0. Then then it's game over. I think he could do it. I favor him here, actually.
You know, it's really interesting that you say that MyuNgSiK's goal is to get better this year. But just to be argumentative about it, like,
be a devil's advocate.
Be a devil. Why did he join Prime for that? Why did he leave a Kesper team and join Prime to get better? That doesn't make sense, Wolf.
Well, I mean, maybe that was the only opportunity he had.
Maybe. We don't really know what happens behind the scenes in those teams.
Not everybody, he was one of the underperforming players on KT Rollster. Not everybody can just jump to any team, right? That takes a lot of talent and skill. And, maybe Prime said, you know what, maybe you can't find a home, but we'll give you one.
Yeah.
And this is his moment to try to make something of it as one of the top players here.
Really
INnoVation, by most people's standards, insanely favored here.
Insanely.
But I feel like INnoVation, in my opinion, has become so predictable that I think I have a feeling, man. I'm really feeling it from MyuNgSiK. I think he's actually going to do this.
That's always been INnoVation's weakness, is the fact that he is predictable. And an achiever like, or a very aggressive player like MyuNgSiK could do this.
Certainly could. He has to do it. Or SKT is going to take that 3-0 they wanted. Alrighty. Our Prime player to the top right is MyuNgSiK. Very stylish hair, but says he keeps that that way because he's too lazy to cut it.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's what he said when I asked him that in that interview I had with him. Down to the bottom right, SK Telecom player, INnoVation. Stats-wise, absolutely favored. Results-wise, absolutely favored. For a best-of-1, though,
anything can happen.
He's not Wolf favored.
Not Wolf favored.
Nor Kanata, apparently.
No, I definitely give MyuNgSiK some hope in this matchup. He can definitely pull something off. But we'll have to wait and see what it's going to be. What is his plan? Obviously, he's got something planned. I doubt he wants to go to that late game with INnoVation, the machine, the robot Terran.
I don't know if you saw the TVZ, or the TVP rather, that I cast with Brendan, with Valdez, with INnoVation. I can't remember the process it was against. I want to say it was Stats. But what happens when INnoVation loses his foothold in the early game and in the mid game is you see him move his units across the map without dropping or harassing. He's just kind of got this ball of bio in the middle of the map. He gets stuck out there. He's a player who has to go step by step to the next thing until he gets to that point where he does that lazy boy push and pulls his SCVs, or he just does too much damage in the early game and gets ahead far enough. But if those things don't happen for him, which, by the way, he's probably the best TVP player in the world at making those things happen, if things go awry, if something happens where he loses too many harvesters, or he has to defend, or he's on the back foot, or Blinkstalker's getting his main and his tempo gets messed up, he seems really predictable. He seems like a bit shaky. And as a player, I've watched INnoVation for a long time. He's obviously one of the best in the world. Not trying to doubt him. He's, like I said, results-wise and stats-wise even, for recent times, absolutely the better player, more accomplished player. I feel like his weakness is eventually going to catch up with him.
Well, I think it already has, Wolf. Like, he lost to GSL because of it. Like, he's lost a lot because of it. And it's always been, like, a renowned problem of his. And no doubt about that, SKT are like, yo, like, it's actually a real problem. You got to actually think outside the box a little bit more. You cannot be just macroing every single game, or they're just going to take full advantage of you like they have been doing in the individual leagues.
Yeah.
And no doubt about that. There's one thing that MyuNgSiK is looking at and being like, okay, this is what I have to do against this guy because he's that good. Like, I have to cheese him out, and he's weak against it. But, well, maybe he won't do it. Maybe that's going to be his mind game. He's going to go for the greedy style instead.
Well, he's going to place the CC on the low ground, which is pretty common, but that's one thing he's doing here. Scouts a Nexus. Reaper's going to come in, and against MyuNgSiK, scouting is essential. And one thing that INnoVation can already be really happy about is that they're spawning vertically, because INnoVation loves those timing pushes.
This is definitely favorable for him.
If it were cross spawns, then those sort of attacks become a lot weaker, a lot harder to execute. Mothership Core is out in time to deny this, but does see that pylon. He's not going to be able to get back there and identify all 3 pylons, so might end up sending that Reaper around to just check for some extra proxies. Might even check behind the middle line at that, just see if it's not like a Maka pylon or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he scouts both gases. He sees exactly what's going on. So he's like, okay, I've seen everything. I've seen the Nexus, the 2 gases. I can expect something.
Yeah, just going to send that Reaper back for now. Hasn't found a probe anywhere on the map. He's going to come in one more time. And this time he's going to see the Robo.
Yeah, and that's going to tell a lot. Well, he's going to try to, but that Stalker is in the way. Ooh, has he found a way in? No, he's going to harass instead.
Ooh. If he doesn't scout that Robo, that's worth a probe, in my opinion, for MyuNgSiK. I'd be like, oh, thank God he killed the probe and then scout my Robo.
Yeah, it definitely is a big thing.
This is almost certainly going to be an Immortal all-in. If MyuNgSiK really thinks he's going to tango with a Robo opening versus INnoVation, I think he's planning the wrong build. I think he's got the wrong blueprint.
Well, let's see what he makes. He could start with an Observer. Could be seeing that Observer style.
Yeah.
We are seeing a couple of 2 Stalkers out already.
We do oftentimes see one Observer into Immortal all-in anyways.
That is true, too.
So, with how the resources line up here, I think that's what we are going to see, because he couldn't afford one even if he wanted to right now, an Immortal.
You know, he could just be playing a macro game for all we know. He actually just be...
Yeah, I just don't expect that, right? You don't expect that from MyuNgSiK.
No one does, man. Not against INnoVation. Crazier things have happened there.
He's making a lot of Stalkers.
INnoVation, on the other hand, going to go for that Mind Drop.
Yeah, that Mind Drop is, going to be pretty tough to defend if he starts an Immortal and not a second Observer with his first Observer gone.
Let's see exactly where this Observer is going to go as well.
Let's watch that really closely.
That is like
so important.
Biggest thing of all.
Okay, this Mothership Core is a bit out of position. Got to move that back.
Oh, is he actually going to target it down? He does.
He gets it, and that is huge. That means no defense in the main base.
Yeah,
it costs him a lot of Marines to do this, but he's going to have to rely only on those 3 Stalkers here.
Yeah, he got 3 probes for his troubles as well. And this could definitely disrupt a lot of mining. That Observer's way out in the map. We only see one, and a very, very fast Colossi. Second one being made now.
Okay, that's really important. The Stalkers are at the natural. They're not in the main. And with this, he will also scout the Bay, which is pretty nice. Okay, he knows the timing.
Ooh, we're going to see a Stargate as well.
Oh, wow, he just barely misses it. Okay, let's see how quick his reaction time is here. Instant reaction time. Pulls the probes. Has the Stalkers ready. Targets the medevac. Almost gets it. The Observer comes back.
Medevac on with 7 HP right now. 1 shot away. There we go. Oh, man.
Few probe kills, but this is not the damage that INnoVation was hoping for.
No, not too much. All up, for all his troubles, he's gotten 6 probes now.
Oh, that one Marine, he didn't kill it. Gets another probe.
Yeah, so he's going to look for more. Obviously, while he does all this, he probably gear up eventually for a SCV timing. A lazy boy push.
Yeah.
They pull the boys.
This is exactly what he wants. This is exactly how INnoVation wants to play this. This is what he does. He gets ahead early. He pressures. Gets that tempo advantage, and then just because he has the best TVP macro in the world, then he just is able to crush after that and win games.
Well, speaking of his macro, we don't see him actually taking advantage of that engineering bay just yet. He could have probably at some points here started that +1.
All right, look at this. No Observer nearby. One Widow Mine gets dropped. Second one comes out now as well to further deny mining. And also if Stalkers get a bit too aggressive, might end up losing one. Targeting down the medevac again. And then, of course, the Nexus Cannon will clean up the Marines. They can't tank a lot of that. And a drop coming over here now. Instead of hitting the third base, decides to go for the main. There's a Void Ray, but out of position. And oh boy, MyuNgSiK is just getting pulled apart by these drops. There's that prismatic alignment. It's going to make quick work of the medevac. Oh, he's going to eat a stalker shot, though.
You know, at the very least, there's a lot of disruption going on. Like, a lot of probes constantly being pulled around. So he is losing a lot of money from this. While this is all happening, we are seeing INnoVation back home. Continually making as much as he can, staying on the head.
Yeah, I mean, the observer highlights the units lost, but if INnoVation is able to keep a worker lead in this matchup, that in itself is pretty huge. He's up 5 harvesters. He's got map control, keeping his Protoss back.
The amount of money you lose from pulling your whole probe line, like, far outweighs what INnoVation is spending to make this happen.
Yeah. That's why, actually, I've been saying this for years, and I really want it. Like, someone's going to add it to an observer UI one day, is I want to see a total resources mined tab. Like, that's the one thing that the UI does not have that I think is so important, because when you see those units lost, it paints a picture that's not really, like, it doesn't accurately reflect. It's like, well, that number is bigger than the other one, but it doesn't actually matter that much because, like you said, the lost mining time is just not shown there.
Yeah, it is a big
That's
thing.
a resource, actually. It's not. You can't see it with a number.
Yeah, it's time spent mining, man. One medevac's going to see this drop coming, but that's not going to stop it. No chance, no how.
Well, he's a bit scared.
Oh,
he needs to pull that Void Ray back. I mean, that denies the drop for now, but he could just go for a second drop. He could try to avoid the Void Ray. He could drop the third.
Well, now he's going to ignore it this time.
Yep. Yeah, and the Void Ray actually looks like it's not going to be microed until the last second there. It actually goes down.
Oh,
the Colossus! No, that's not where you want to put those. Okay, good micro now.
Oh.
Great micro here by MyuNgSiK, turning a bad situation into an okay one.
Actually, not a good micro at all, losing both Colossus. Oh, that is huge.
He had them almost saved, and then he just left them there.
And he kept attacking because he was on one hotkey group, and he was attacking above ground, so the Colossus moved back while the rest of the army moves up the ramp. And massive blow, resetting the Colossi count with Bio is something you never want to happen as a Protoss, especially in this kind of situation, especially against someone who's going to pull the boys.
Yeah. I was saying great micro on those Colossi as in, like, okay, you really screwed up. I guess you're going to have to make the most out of these Colossi that you can. And, I mean, I guess he did that, but he still lost both of them, and he's in a situation now where his opponent has more Vikings than he has Colossi. He's trying to switch to Storm, but he doesn't have enough on the ground. Look at the army supply. He's got 25.
Yeah, I don't even think he needs to pull the boys. He just needs to attack.
He just needs to right-click on this base.
Attack the boys.
All right, that mothership is total Viking bait, man.
There is nothing to stop this. Not even in the natural, not even in the main base.
MyuNgSiK
went for too much. Yeah, he made some critical mistakes. Losing those Colossi was absolutely insane.
Well, he was already so behind even before then.
And
totally gets wiped here.
There's nothing left.
SKT getting that 3-0 most people expected. GG.
Wow.
That's exactly what they wanted.
Well,
and that's what they deserve, man. They brought their A game. They had the better prep. They had the better plays, the better builds.
Yeah, they were completely prepared, and they just played their solid games. And Prime kind of just fell apart of the way on the side, man. They just couldn't make anything happen at all. And that's a very disappointing loss from MyuNgSiK. He's having a bit of a rough season to start with.
I just don't know what to say about the Void Ray either. Like, you know, it's better than one Phoenix, but if you just made a few Phoenixes, I think you might have been able to just shut down drops a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, I gotta say,
we don't see people use Void Rays to deny drops.
Yeah, maybe one Phoenix to kind of scout and stop the drop, spot them in time, but
I mean, that's a ton of, that's 300 gas split in that Stargate that kind of delayed a drop for a second, but it delayed his Colossi.
Yeah.
And then he 1-8, like you said, onto the high ground. And then he microed his heart out, but still lost both, and that was like the nail in the coffin. Without those Colossi, you're never holding a third base and trying to get a Templar Archive up and research Storm against INnoVation. Are you serious?
I can't believe it, Wolf. Some big mistakes, some kind of like really basic kind of positional sort of micro sort of mistakes we are seeing today from Prime. And I mean, even from specifically from Alive, like that game kind of like really pointed out some very critical positioning mistakes. But yeah, a little bit of sloppy play today, unfortunately.
Well, Dark fans didn't even get to see him come out today. I know it probably disappointed a lot of people, but I mean, 3-0, Dream beats Terror. Sue crushes Yoda with Roach, you know, all in. That was actually pretty risky. Had that been scouted, we would have seen a different game. It wouldn't have necessarily ended the game, but definitely could have seen a longer game there, but he didn't see it. And then INnoVation just, I mean, he outclassed MyuNgSiK. He made me and Kanai look silly for having faith. I mean, he just way outclassed him that game. MyuNgSiK did not bring his A game.
Pulled him apart, man. And yeah, MyuNgSiK makes some massive mistakes, especially losing those Colossi.
Well, guys, this puts SKT into a further indicator, actually, than CJ Entus with that +6. But CJ Entus, all they need to do is win, and, of course, they'll continue to have that spot that they have. But if they lose their next match, SKT with this 3-0 will be ahead because it'll be 3-1 with, at the very worst, for CJ a +4, which plus